The meaning of multiplayer is sharing the variables between users in the network. So, in this step, we want to know how we can share the important variables between users. Alright, in the previous step, we talked about how we can implement the base of photon network and multiplayer with our UGV. In this step, we want to do something important in the network and multiplayer, and it is streaming the data and variables between two or more than two users in the network. Initially, we have to go to the pawn in here in Zamboni and drag and drop our UGV inside of the train. So in here, as we remembered before, once we rotate our mechanical arms in the another user, we couldn't see the rotation of these mechanical arms. So it means the rotation of this mechanical arm was locally, not sharing in the network. Now we want to share it in the network. For doing that, we need to come here and in the UGV body, now mechanical arm, as you can see, the base of it was this part, and it has another option for arm pivot. Right. In the UGV, we have a mechanical arm and arm pivot. So, okay, in the mechanical arm, we have to add our photon view component. Now we can share all the variables of this object into the network, and we have to do the same thing for arm pivot as well. So in here we add photon view as well and control save for save our scene with this UGV. Another part is we have to create a script for sharing the data with photon view. I want to create a script. I call it, I don't know, photon, no, pawn share. We can do it by our script or using the simple system for doing that. As a default, we can drag and drop our transform component to the photon view, or we can use photon transform view. As you can see, in the photon transform view, we can share our variables into the network. In here, you can see observed component, dragged and dropped the photon view into this list of variables automatically. So you can say, okay, let's to share the position and rotation of this object. But in here, the position, it makes no sense to sharing, so we will say only please share the rotation. We need to do this one for arm pivot as well. So we will say okay, and don't share the position. And Control S again. We wait for the saving the scene. After that, we have to save this prefab to be able to use in the another instantiation in the first of the multiplayer scene. Right? In here, we can drag and drop our character to Zombani. Perfect. As you can see, the UGV body, a mechanical arm, it already has photon view. Perfect. Now, for testing our mechanism, I have to save it initially. After that, export and exit, and we will see what will happen. Okay. And in here, we export and exit. Right, it's ready to use. Now I want to open my exe in here. It's already here. Perfect. Now go to the here and change my rotation. Something like this. Perfect. Okay, and now let's see. Perfect. We can see the direction of the mechanical arms in here. Perfect. Now, another problem was I could to change the rotation of this object as well. So we have to fix it. Also, we need to go to the, what was the name of our component? UGV, in here, UGVR. We have to do exactly the same solution for the UGV movement actions. In the UGV movement, we said it's try to read the photon view, and in here UGV arm. Initially, we need to call using photon dot pawn. Oh, sorry, pawn, right? Okay, and in the UGV movement, we said if it is mine equal true. All of these actions are available. Right. Okay, now this problem has been fixed. We can test it together again. The exe is the old version, but in the editor we have new version. It's the fixed bug of the rotation. After we test our movement, oh no, sorry, we have to say in the UGV component and prefab, we have to drag and drop our photon view to that. Now it is ready to use. Perfect. As you can see, it only rotates my mechanical arms, not other user. But in here it is still the old version, but in here we can rotate this one. Perfect. Right. It is the solution for streaming the variable, but with the variables of transform. For example, we can add an object in here, and we can share the position, rotation, or scale of this object between all users. For example, ball or something else, I don't know. But if we want to share some variables more than transform variables, for example, a number or a string or name, I don't know, anything, we have to write a system for that. And I want to create a script initially a game object for no, we can do it for scene management. In here we can have a button, but no, I propose to do with the specific script for that. And we had pawn share. We created pawn share for it. Now, okay. Initially, we have to call the using photon dot voice pawn. Sorry. After that, exactly the same like the other parts, we have to call photon view dot the name of it is photon view. Okay, we want to send a message and we want to receive this message, so we need to write public void send value. It is for sending our variable, but if we want to send something, we have to call our photon view, because our photon view is the bridge between our character with the network. The mechanism of sending a variable or order or any message is called RPC. So we can call any function for receive this message. For example, we will say get value, I don't know, RPC, and after comma we need to write a variable for here. Okay, now initially we have to call the targets of our RPC. We say target dot, oh no, RPC target dot all. It means all users in the network will receive this number variable. Okay, in here we have to call pawn RPC and public void exactly the same name here. It is for receiving the message. And we have to define a variable exactly like here. If we have integer in our variables, so we will need to have integer in here. We say int new number. Right. In here, we can receive the message. How we can receive? If we only call this variable. It is the magical part of the pawn RPC. So, only thing is new number equal plus new number. For example, if we put number equal 5 and call this function, it tries to send this number 5 to all network. So other users receive this message simultaneously and they said, okay, the new number we have received is number 5. If we put the number 10 in here and call this function with this order, we share the number 10 into the network. All the users are online, which are online in the network will receive the number 10, and we will print the number 10 in the console. Okay, now let's test. How we can test? By initially in the scene management, we can drag and drop our pawn test. Oh, sorry. Excuse me. Okay, in here we need to have photon view for here and drag and drop our pawn share. No, sorry. Drag and drop our photon view here. Perfect. Now we have a bridge to from our scene management to the network, and in the pawn share we can share any message we want, any variable we want, and receive any variable we want. In here we have to add a button. We call it button, I don't know, send number. Perfect. For our test, I put it here at the corner left and down. It's all the time is here, and the order of it is the scene management, the pawn share, send value. What is the send value? Is, for example, 125. So once we press send number button in the console, we will receive the number 125 from the network. If we can receive this number, so other users can receive this number as well. That's it. New number equal 125. If we change this number and put 89 and press, we have new number equal 89. For better understanding, we can see this number here. Using Unity engine dot UI in here, and we will say public text final result here, and we will say dot text equal something like this, so we can see it during the mission. What's the name of it? Okay. Now drag and drop final result into this. Look at this. New number 125. If we change it to 789, we have 789. I want to export an exe and test it in our network. Perfect. Okay. We have the send number here, and I press set number, and we have here as well. I change it to 002547. That's it. It works well. It is exactly that things we are looking for. Now, in here, we can define several variables at the same time. For example, if we write public string name, I don't know, username, something. In the number, after number or before number, any order we want, because in here the username is after number, in here it must be username after number. So we'll say something like this, but new username, right? And in here we will say new username equal number blah blah. Now let's see. New username is Abulfaz, for example, and play, and I want to edit. Abulfaz is 125. If I export an exe and I want to test it in the real network multiplayer, we will see if we write any string variable and add any number in our variable and share it into the network, we can share it between users. Perfect. And in here we have, for example, Abulfaz 250. I don't know, something. That's it. It works well. As a final part, we can say we can call this function anytime we want, even in the void update, even in any loops, and even in another script. For example, we can call this pawn share component from another script, and we will say, okay, send the number and username by this function and receive it in here and show on UI or add to the another script or another object or any function we want. Okay, let's go to the next step.